Hi and welcome. I'm Peggy Crusoe of the Revolutionize podcast, and we have an amazing guest today. So I'm going to give an introduction. His name is Burgess Owens. Welcome, Burgess.
Peggy, my pleasure. Looking forward to this for sure.
Me too. Burgess Owens is a former University of Miami and NFL star who travels the country delivering a message of optimism, hope, and unity. He spent his childhood growing up in the Deep South during a time when the barriers of segregation were being torn down. As the third Black American granted a scholarship to play football at the University of Miami, he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in biology and chemistry. During his college career, Burgess was named to Who's Who among college students in American universities and colleges. He was inducted to the Hall of Fame of Outstanding College Athletes of America and later to the University of Miami's Hall of Fame and the Orange Bowl Ring of Honor. Following college, Burgess was the 13th player drafted in the first round by the New York Jets. He was selected that year as the Jets' Rookie of the Year and to the NFL's All-Rookie team. After being traded to the Oakland Raiders, Burgess led the Raiders' defensive squad in tackles on their way to the 1980 Super Bowl championship. Since retiring from the NFL, Burgess has devoted his time to mentoring and improving the lives of our next generation of leaders. He founded Second Chance for Youth, which is a Utah-based nonprofit organization dedicated to helping troubled and incarcerated youth. Burgess is an outspoken advocate for conservative values and intends to return Utah's 4th congressional district back to Republicans. Burgess is ready to serve the people of Utah as their next member of Congress. Wow, I am so impressed.
Well, thank you so much, Peggy. And let me just say this. And as you're talking, the message I want to give to everybody who's kind of hears that overview is recognizing in that process there's a lot of struggle too, and I think that's the real message that Americans should give each other. We look back and we see our successes, but really what we need to highlight even more so is sometimes for those others our failures, because in the process of succeeding, failure is a part of the game. And even though we like to kind of look over it, though that's where they get the strongest message that one American give the other, which is if I can do it, you can do it. And I'll say this, guys, that I just love the fact that here in America we have second chances, that when we do fail, we can continue to get back up as many times as we want to, as long as we continue to build up on our dreams. So I'm excited about that process for sure.
Burgess, I love that. I teach that all the time. I've made a lot of mistakes and I don't call them failures, because failures are only failure, like you said, when you don't get back up. Mm-hmm. So I'm very impressed with the values that you have, because it coincides with what I teach. So when I was reading a lot about you and getting to know you through your daughter, she talked a lot about the 13th season story and how it segues into your life and your football career. Can you elaborate on that for me?
What a good segue. By the way, BurgessForUtah.com. For those who want to support our last week, we're now into a sprint. We're going to leave nothing on the field, as an old football saying. But, I now wear a Super Bowl ring. I'm now considered a Super Bowl champion. And it's been a remarkable impact on my entire career, after leaving the football. But what got me there is what most people don't ask about, and I have to make sure people realize that this is part of the process. I grew up in the Deep South in Tallahassee in the 60s. If for those who remember the movie, remember the Titans, that was my experience. I was one of 4 Black athletes to start to integrate this all-white high school. It's a very, very tough and tumultuous year as a sophomore, 16 years old. The first time I actually had a chance to spend any time or meet white Americans, and it was an interesting year. My senior year was a disaster. I was not actually being recruited by any team. I was growing up in Tallahassee, where Florida State and Florida A&M is, but no team was recruiting me. I was able to convince my coach to send a film from my junior year down to Miami, and that's how I got to University of Miami. Played there for 4 years. And unlike the University of Miami that we hear about today, we were not winning in those days. If we won 2 or 3 games a season, we were very happy. But I learned to become an eternal optimist. And if I could just give this message to those that are listening, we have life struggles. It's guaranteed for all of us. We can either decide to quit or decide to keep moving forward one more day, one more week, one more year. And to keep moving forward, you have to have something that keeps you motivated. And with me, it was something I learned at the beginning of my college career, all the way to the very end, which is, I would say this to myself after every losing game, every losing season, it's got to get better than this. it's got to get better than this. If you say that long enough, either it gets better or you believe it will. Either way, you have an optimistic view of the future. So 4 years of losing, University of Miami, played with the Jets for 7 years, 7 years of losing with the Jets. So that's 12 seasons of losing seasons. And I look back on it now, of course, it's only a football game, but when it's your life, your blood, sweat, and tears, it's kind of depressing when the scoreboard is not showing you what you want to see. And I remember my 7th year in the NFL, I actually considered retirement. I was so sick and tired of losing. And I think back on that now. Here I am playing in the NFL, a game I love, respect my teammates, making relatively good income. And yet I was ready to quit because I was so sick and tired of what the scoreboard was telling me. And this is my message to everybody who's listening. We have the greatest opportunity in the history of mankind to live in this country. That's the greatest blessing. And no matter, even if we have those rough days, we might be late to a movie or somebody might not say hello to us or whatever it might be, just realize that we have tomorrow to begin all over again to continue to strive forward. So anyway, that's what I learned during that 12 years. And the 13th season was when I was traded to the Raiders. It was a time where the Raiders was just kind of rebuilding, but miraculously, there's about 10 of us who came to that team that same year, and we were all so sick and tired of losing that we just put everything we had into the game, into our efforts. Could care less about who got the glory, who got the honor. We just wanted to win, and that was our first season since high school that I had a chance to have a winning season. The first season since high school that I had a chance to go to a playoff game, and I remember sitting in the Super Bowl locker room, getting ready to play against the Philadelphia Eagles, getting ready to play the biggest game of my life, sitting in that locker room thinking, I cannot believe I'm sitting here, getting ready to play this game with all these guys I respect and all the history that I just had almost given up. And here I am. And we went out, of course, to won that game. That was Super Bowl 15. The only thing we regretted as a team was that we had nobody else to play. We were having so much fun moving forward with it. So here's the message of the 13th season. 1 year in high school, 4 years in college, 7 years with the Jets, all losing seasons, to finally experience my 13th, my first year with the Raiders. My message is very simply this. Every one of us, no matter who we are, what our background is promised to experience the 13th season if you hang in there. And that's that time where everything comes together, all the long days, the hard nights, the stress, the pain. We finally come to that point where we realize I'm so excited to be here. And everything I've gone through is so much worth it because it's gotten to where I am. And we'll always experience that. But we only get to the 13th season by going through the 12. And the 12 of those years of that we just don't want to be there anymore. It's painful. We can't believe we're actually in this position. I can't believe that we're where we are, and we just cannot wait to get out of it. But it's during those times of this defeat or down or despair that we learn the greatest lessons in life. This is where, and I look back on it, you learn things like tenacity, faith, loyalty, patience, forgiveness, all those things that really create us, to give us that character that allows us to enjoy this thing called life, happens to that down times when we're forced to really reevaluate where we are, who we are, and we're trying our best to be happy. And by the way, the 13th season that comes after that is only a confirmation that we were good to keep doing what we're doing. And what we should also remember that as we get to the 13th, get ready to start all over again. It's the ups and downs of life. And the goal is that every single time we go through this process to learn a little bit more, to give us a little bit more faith, to recognize it will be temporary, and that we will be of more value to ourselves and others as we go through it and learn the lessons that's there for us. Again, just get ready for that process. It happens to all of us. Don't ever think that there's a button that you jump on an elevator and go to the top. It just doesn't work that way. We have to learn. That's what life is about. And the better we learn, and then we could turn around and let people know that at some point, if I can do it, you can do it. The most powerful 9 words that can come from one American to the other, because it gives other people hope that they can make it through those tough times that they might be going through.
That is amazing because I'm a lot like you. I've had a lot of failures, and I always tell people that the same thing, hang in there because you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And, teaching them techniques and different things to keep them hanging on. These are very trying times. I'm sure you agree. And so I always encourage people to just hang in there.
And can I say this one, Peggy, also? You can only give that lesson if you're willing to take risk.
Yep.
Because only when you're willing to take risk are you willing to go through the process of failure. You have the courage to say, I don't mind the process. I know there's not a guarantee, but I'm willing to take a risk for myself. So just understand, take that, dream big. This is a country that allows us to dream as big as we want to. And also, if we fall short the first time, we can get it back up the next time and go all over again. It's so cool, so cool. And just know that that's what we should go through, and that's what we should always think about. And again, encourage those others as we go through the humbling process. Have that empathy to pull other people back through what we've gone through.
I totally agree with that. That's an amazing story. You talk a lot about being the third Black accepted into the University of Miami. What were some of the racial and segregation issues that you had to deal with?
Yeah, it's interesting because, by the way, one of the greatest things we have that we can, I guess, embrace is the idea of learning our history. We, the people, have done some remarkable things together. And by the way, that's what we're fighting for right now. We're fighting to make sure that we keep our future and do not let the radical left change the narrative. It was Karl Marx, a communist and Marxist founder, who says the first battleground is the rewriting of history. So a little bit of my history gives context to how far we've come. Again, I was the third Black to go to University of Miami. I remember at 12 years old, standing in front of Florida State Theater, marching with college students because we couldn't go into that particular movie theater because of the color of my skin. I remember the white and colored fountains. Here's something I haven't shared with too many people, but I remember going across country to visit our friends in Texas, my cousins in Texas, that we had restrooms in which there was white women restrooms, white men, and in the back were colored. And my parents just did not acquiesce. They did not believe in that, and they would not lower themselves to go through that process. So I remember a trip going across country. My mom had gone into a white women's restroom, and these young two white boys came along and tried to break in the door to pull her out. And I watched my dad, as a 10-year-old kid, I watched my dad get out of the car and deal with them. It didn't matter, there was 2 against 1. He commanded the respect that they left my mom alone and him alone because he had the courage to go and deal with it. So that was one part of the story. The other part of the story is when we got home, I remember I was fortunate to walk past my parents' door at the time they were talking because they never brought this up again to us as kids. My dad was cutting a credit card from that particular service station. And he was telling mom he was going to send it back to the gas, into the headquarters, and he was never going to buy gas there again. About 50, 60 years later, just before he passed away, we were talking about old times, and I brought up this particular incident, and he says, and I asked him if I remembered correctly. He said, "Yes, you remembered." And not only that did I cut up the card, but I have not bought a drop of gas from that gas chain since then. So it showed me what principles looks like. Not only did he have the courage to stand like a man to take care of his family and show a young boy what it was to respect women and the courage it took to go against the odds if he had to. On the other side of it was the principle of 50 years or 60 years of deciding he was never going to ever buy a drop of gas because what they did back in the 60s, and he held true to that. So I'm just saying to Americans out there, let's be a people of principle. We might have to give up a little bit of convenience for now. Might have to turn off a TV when it comes down to a football game. But if we stand by our principles, our country will win, and we'll show our kids what it looks like to be men and women who will stand for what they believe is right and will sacrifice anything because they know that in the long term, it's going to pay off big time.
That's wonderful. I'm sure you share a lot of that with your own children.
Absolutely. I do. And I'm so proud. I have 6 kids and 15 grandchildren, and all right here in District 4 that I'm fighting for. And I would say the greatest, the greatest blessing, and all those who have children will understand this. First of all, it goes way too fast. In that little window in which we can imprint our thoughts and our memories in our family, it's a treasure. It really is. So for those who still have children at home, please take advantage of it. Take the time, enjoy it because it goes way too fast. And then when you see them grow up, you see how proud you are of what you've trained and taught them as a couple, as a family, as a mom and dad. There's nothing like that experience because those are the memories that at the end of the day, when we look back on life, that's going to give us the conclusion that our life was truly worth it. Not in the jobs we have, not in the business we build, but in the family we leave behind it that really is proud of the name that you've given them.
Well, I understand that you have a special saying with your children. You can share that with everyone because I really like this. So I'm going to make sure we got this in here.
Okay. You've always been talking about daughter summer. Yeah, so I believe this. I believe what we say is so important. We need to input in our brain positive things, and what we say to ourselves inside can make or break us. So we started when my kids were 3 or 4 years old. I'll ask the question, "What's the word?" And to my kids, if you ask them even today, they'll say, if I say, "What's the word?" They say, "I'm a winner." And then I'll ask, "Are you sure?" And they say, "I'm positive." So, I just had my grandson the other day come in and ask me that. He's only 4 years old. He said, "Granddaddy, what's the word?" so, so, so I said, "I'm a winner." He says, "Are you sure?" I said, "I'm positive." So that tradition is now being passed down to another generation. I'm so excited about that. So,
I love it because I teach positivity and I even do like motivational minutes every day. I think it's so important
oh,
to start
oh,
your day with something grateful and positive.
yes. And if I can say this, this is what we're fighting for. What you describing, Peggy, is the American culture. We are our eternal optimists as Americans. That's who we are. We dream big, we risk big, we fail to come back. And those who actually make it happen, we just can't wait to give back to somebody else because that's a part of the blessings of where we are. So let's keep that positivity. Make sure you're positive to yourself. Understand that we all fail, we all make mistakes, we all fall short, but that's okay. If we continue to talk to ourselves that we can overcome that, we're winners, we're good, we can make the good things happen, then we will actually draw ourselves to that particular end game. So talk positive. Don't let the negative, don't let this particular the leftists take us into a dark place in which we don't believe in our country, don't believe in ourselves, don't believe in our fellow Americans. Don't let them do that. That's that divisiveness that they want to give us. I say that we, the people, are the most powerful 3 words in the history of mankind because it's one of unity, it's one of solutions, it's one that says we can overcome anything together. We need to make sure we keep that up.
I love that. I also think it's important to start your day with gratitude every day. So I love
Absolutely.
everything that you teach because it's like I said, it coincides with what I do.
Can I say one thing to that point?
Yes, absolutely.
When we get on our knees at the beginning of the day, the end of our day, start off by saying thank you. You absolutely hit it. You just nailed it. Sometimes we have this tendency of getting on our knees and just start asking for help, asking for this, asking for that. Let's start off by first of all thanking our God in heaven that we are in the greatest country in the history of mankind, in a place that's free, and that we have a chance at this time to be part of a team that's going to keep our country from falling over the abyss. It's such a great time to be alive, and we now understand what it looks like for the hard left, how disastrous it is. Let's be thankful that we as Americans can be part of the solution by simply not having to, we don't have to leave this country, put on a uniform, just simply go to the polls and vote for the light. Go for the right. Go for God, country, family, and an American way. And I tell you guys, we'll pull this thing back and we'll be proud we were part of the process.
You're talking a lot about your campaign. Do you want to put a plug in there, talk a little bit about your campaign? Because I
Yes.
think you're very impressive, and so I'd love to touch on that.
Well, I'm right now in District 4.
Mhm.
As I mentioned, the miracle is we came from Philadelphia, and all 6 kids and 15 grandkids are in District 4. It is a seat that Mia Love lost a couple of years ago. We had a kind of a low turnout, and also the other side, the Democrats painted themselves as a moderate that will reach across the aisle, that will vote against Pelosi, and of course, that was is so far from the truth. He's 85% Pelosi's, 100% rating by Planned Parenthood. He's what happens when people go to D.C. and become a Democrat. Unfortunately, even if you're a good person, you cannot help, you cannot do anything being part of a party that is now so close with the radical left. So we're not right now. We're head to head. We feel really good that we have a good ground game. Those who can support us financially, this is the last week. We need to make sure that we go up against the negative that they go for, the falsehoods that they live with. There's no shame on the left. There's absolutely no shame. So go to burgess4utah.com. Again, this is between 1 and 3, and we're hearing lately that it's actually closer to 1 of the most must-have by both sides of the aisle. We get this seat back. We get back the House. My greatest joy will be to tell my constituents here that we were part every time in the 230 plus history of our country that District 4 can actually pull our country back from the abyss. And I'm excited about being part of that. And for the minorities out there that are waking up, Black, Hispanics, Asian, women, gays, we are realizing now that this is our moment to finally come back together and not be divided by everything that's exterior, and which is what the left wants us to do. So this is our moment. Let's go for values and principles first, not party and a personality. Values and principles will allow our country to continue to be the freest country in the history of mankind, and that we will all come back together in the next 4 years in the greatest renaissance we've ever experienced. Because once America starts winning, there's nothing like that feeling. And we're going to start winning big time over the next 4 years by getting the House back, keeping the Senate, and giving our president 4 more years to continue his policies, America First policies, and allow us to move forward in a big way.
You certainly have my vote if I live there, because I just think you're an amazing person, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity, and I hope I get to talk a lot more to you. I know we're running out of time, but before we do end, we both have a mutual friend here in my hometown of DuBois, Pennsylvania, Michael Clement. Would you like to give him a little shout out?
Absolutely. Yeah, Clement he's been a real treasure for us. He's my campaign manager. So when you see the big push, the excitement we have on our ground game and the strategy we have, Mike's been a big part of that. So he's been a real blessing to us. I'll say this. I think it's not an accident that teams come together like America's team has always done the right thing at the right time. I think Heavenly Father is in each one of our lives that allows us to pull together people around us at the right moments to make the difference. If our hearts are right, if we just want to do the right thing for the right reason. So I'm very excited about the team we have. Mike is actually leading us here as the campaign manager, and I feel very confident that with his leadership and the rest of the team we have here, we're going to be victorious on November 3rd. And with that being said, I just want to be a small part of a much bigger team that brings our country back. And to that point, there was an old saying for those who remember the Raiders when they used to win football games. And I know a lot of people don't remember, young people don't remember those days, but there was something that Al Davis said that brought us all together and made it happen. He said, just win, baby. And that's what our team is doing here. And that's what America can do across the country. Let's just come together, remember what we're all about: love of God, country, family, women, and authority. And we put that on a front plate, guys, and we will just win big in a big way. So let's make sure that happens.
Well, we're out of time, but I would welcome you back at any time, and maybe we'll have you back on as soon as you win, and you can talk about how wonderful that celebration is.
Let's make that happen, Peggy. Catch you with Clement. Let's make that happen. I'd love to do it for sure.
I wish you all the luck in the world, and thank you for being an amazing guest.
Thank you, Peggy. All the best. Talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.